What's up, Doc?
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another podcast from What's Up Doc. Today's topic is going to be two popular TV shows, How I Met Your Mother versus Friends. A long debate has been on this topic since a long time, and today joining me, my co-hosts, Deathstroke and King Shark. Hey, what's up, guys? How are you guys?
Sup, man?
How are you guys doing? It's been a couple of weeks, yes, since we last met up for one of these. Super excited to discuss two of my favorite shows.
All right. Firstly, let's talk about your experiences watching this show. Deathstroke, you go first. I just want to know what's your favorite, show between these two? Like, off the bat, without any thinking, just one show between these.
It's How I Met Your Mother. I prefer that show over Friends. I love Friends, but there's something about How I Met Your Mother. I just love that show more than Friends. The characters, some of them attract me more towards that show.
All right, King Shark, what's your thoughts on it?
I love How I Met Your Mother, but I disagree with one thing that Deathstroke said. For me, Friends is my all-time favorite show. I love it. I watch it with fam. I've rewatched it like 4 to 5 times, and yeah, just every episode I love. It's just it's something I can
You
watch with
always have
any time of the
to
day.
go against me.
Well,
This
when you're wrong, you're
sometimes
wrong.
thing.
I just gotta admit it.
I said Harry Potter sucks, you go against me. This is
Well,
not
you were
right,
wrong then,
okay?
then you're wrong now.
I mean, in the first episode, you two were agreeing to a lot of things, so yeah, you you win some, you lose some, so yeah. Um, all right, so
What
for
do
me,
you think, Goat? Which of the two shows do you think is better?
I think I would have to go for Friends as well, instead of How I Met Your Mother. Even though I love How I Met Your Mother and how they, constructed the whole story, I would, go for Friends because it's more, I don't know, it's not it's not that relatable, but it's still, somewhat more grounded into realism rather than, what we see in How I Met Your Mother.
So
For
it's a 2v1 now, huh?
uh,
Tag team match. Okay.
I would just let everyone know there are some spoilers ahead. We will be talking about the endings of shows, and if you haven't watched any of these shows, then go ahead and watch them now because they are, I think, one of two of the best shows of all time. Um, okay, in terms of story, which one had the better one? Which one had the better plot? Which one had the better story? And the how was it? How well is it constructed? Deathstroke, you go first.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I love How I Met Your Mother. I'd actually go for How I Met Your Mother. It has a much better story because there's like a fixed thing. It's based around how Ted meets his wife and he's talking to his kids. So overall, I prefer the story of How I Met Your Mother. You see the entire journey of the characters. On the other hand, Friends is great, but it doesn't have like a fixed storyline. It just goes along with the flow. It doesn't have one fixed story. It's just about friends. On the other hand, How I Met Your Mother has a lot of the same elements as Friends, but it does have one final story. It's leading to something. So that's what makes it more interesting for me because there's always this plot twist and stuff in this show. You don't know the final thing, who the mother is, and every time he meets a new girl, you think, oh, okay, this is the one, maybe this. So I feel like the story, keeps all of us gripped to it, grips the audience towards it. That's all.
King Shark, your thoughts on this?
It's funny you did say that. They did have one objective from the start of the show, which was to meet the mother, and they somehow still managed to mess up the ending. How did that happen? And Deathstroke, the fact that they literally had one goal from the start of the show and they managed to mess that up. But yeah, I agree with you on those aspects. So I did love the build up, how they met the mother and all that. But for me, Friends, I love the story. I mean, the different dynamics in the group as well. Ross and Rachel, Chandler and Monica, Phoebe, just being Phoebe, and Joey. Well, who doesn't love Joey, right? What about you, Goat? Anything to add on that? Sorry,
Um,
Deathstroke. I think you wanna say something.
okay. Yeah, so I would say I'm actually kind of 50-50 on both of them, but I would have to give it to Friends in the end, a 60-40 for me, because Friends, even though How I Met Your Mother had a more constructive story. Like it had, it already had an objective. In the end, he is going to, it's a story of how Ted meets his wife, how Ted meets the mother of his children. So that's how it's like a whole story towards a certain point. But Friends is, they didn't need any kind of they could change the story anytime they wanted. So I think that's why I think Friends is the more has a. I wouldn't say that Friends has a single story. Like it does not have a single story. Like it does not have a singular story. It has multiple stories, and it but it does, and it just means that it does not need any kind of single story there. But How I Met Your Mother already had an objective from the start, and that's unveiling their mother one by one, like one season at a time, and that's how they went forward with it. Second question would be, which show has the better character development? King Shard, you can go first on this one.
Yeah, for me, I'd actually have to give How I Met Your Mother this one. I feel the characters, obviously, I think one great character development for me was Barney. How at the start, obviously, throughout the show, he was a playboy, chick magnet and that kind of stuff. But how eventually he falls for Robin, and how he changes his perception actually to be with Robin, and how he changed for love and stuff, and then even he has a baby in the end. So that was one of the great character developments. But I feel they kind of messed it up as well when he cheated on Robin and stuff and all that. Not cheated on Robin, but went back to flings and stuff.
I
Yeah,
mean,
Deathstroke.
I agree with. Finally, you said something sensible. Thank God. So I agree. See, one thing about Friends is there's not much character development over the time. From the first season to the last season, Chandler remains the same kind of guy. Joey remains the same. Everyone basically is the same person they were 10 years ago. There's not much change. In How I Met Your Mother, the Barney is the standout. He changes a lot. I agree. The show overall is pretty amazing. I mean, you all would agree with me. But the last final two episodes really screw up with all the character development. I think it's because they had fixed. They did the finale was actually done in the first season. It was all fixed that this is how it's going to end, and I feel like that they suddenly had to end the show. If they went for one more season, then they would have been able to fix this problem, because there was a sudden change in the character. Barney, as we see, is a playboy for most of the time, and then after season 4 you start seeing changes in him. He tries to become more nice and be in love with those two characters. One's Nora and one's Robin. But then in the end, in suddenly the last two episodes, they changed him completely. So that was one of the problems even I had with the show. But overall, the How I Met Your Mother had better character development over the time compared to Friends.
Damn, we actually agreed on something, Deathstroke. Not too bad, not too bad.
I
Now all you gotta agree on is Harry Potter sucks.
I think this is
Just
one
say
of the
it
questions
sucks.
that we all would agree on because I would also agree that the character development on How I Met Your Mother was much better in terms, because the thing is, actually, if you look at it, Friends did not need any character development, because the characters since season one, they were more developed and they were already loved, so there wasn't a lot of character development needed, except a little bit in Joey when he actually fell in love with Rachel, and that that was a whole fiasco on its own. um but yeah, then there wasn't much of a character development, because it all goes back to normal. So I think I would have to give it to How I Met Your Mother in this one. uh Another question would be, which show had the better side characters? Now this one is a little bit both shows had a good amount of side characters. So I would give it to King Shark first to answer this one.
For me, one of the standout side characters is actually Ranjit, right? The driver in How I Met Your Mother. That guy's just hilarious, man. Every
Yeah.
scene he was in was just funny. I think even Patrice was an excellent side character. I feel that whole thing when she was acting like she was with Barney, that that whole storyline which was going on, that was pretty funny as well. Friends had some good side characters as well, though. I think Gunther, one of the standouts, was love for Rachel. But yeah, for me, I think just How I Met Your Mother edged it out because I love Ranjit, and even Patrice I feel was a good character.
All right, Deathstroke, your thoughts on your answer on this question?
Okay, unfortunately, I'll have to disagree with my friend King Shark. I feel like this is one place where I prefer Friends more because of the side characters are much better in Friends, such as Gunther. As you said, I just love Gunther. And then the other one is Janice. I mean, she's an annoying character, but whenever she's there on screen, it's just amazing to see her. It's really funny, and
Oh
she
my
changes the entire
god.
mood. Yeah, so I feel like this time I'll have to go with Friends.
Did you know that Janice was actually on both the shows? Yes.
Yeah, she was the one who sells the house to
Yeah, to
Marshall
Lily
and
and
Lily.
Marshall.
Yeah, and her voice is different because normally she speaks really nicely.
Yeah, I
On
was surprised
show
she
on
actually had a
Friends,
very normal accent.
yeah, um,
I
I
mean,
think she had one of the most iconic voices in Friends. That whole "oh my god" thing was just it was funny.
yeah, obviously, I think I have to agree with Deathstroke on this one. For me, Friends is has side characters that make more sense, and are more played out, like obviously Gunther is one of them. He plays an integral part. And also there's also Janice, obviously, one of the more famous side characters. um, and there's also Mike. Even though Mike is a side character, he kind of felt like this, extra member of the cast, like the friend group, but he still is a side character, and that just shows how good Friends manage their side characters. So I think I would have to give this one to Friends. Um,
Yeah, Friends also had some great cameos as well, like Bruce Willis, Brad Pitt. I mean, those are some amazing names.
that just brings up my next question: which show had the better cameos? Because both shows had a great range of actors and actresses on their show to cameo. Which one had better cameos? I think Deathstroke, you can go first on this one.
well, I'll have to go with Friends on this one again because I feel like when I watched the both of the shows, right, I could remember more cameos from this thing, from Friends show, because they were more memorable. And I just feel like the Friends show had better cameos compared to How I Met Your Mother. Because quite frankly, I won't lie, I don't even remember most of the cameos of any big star from How I Met Your Mother, but I do remember from Friends. So this one I'll have to go with Friends.
King Shark, the same question to you.
Yeah, same. I'd go with Friends because I do remember more. Like Danny DeVito, Bruce Willis, and Brad Pitt. Bruce Willis is
Ben's
arguably my standout
Ben,
moment. Paul's
yeah,
the man.
and even Ben Stiller was there. Reese Witherspoon, a lot of actresses were there as well. So I think for me, it's going to be the same. I would go with Friends, but that does not mean that How I Met Your Mother did not have great cameos as well. They had Britney Spears at one point, Katy Perry, I believe. I think Katy Perry was there,
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
Katy
yeah, they
Perry
did
was
have Katy Perry.
in the Oh
and
Honey episode.
and there was also Bryan Cranston as Ted's boss at one point. So there were a lot of good cameos in How I Met Your Mother, but nothing compared to what Friends had. So basically, Friends gets this wrong for it from me as well. Um, Another question would be, which show is more realistic? This one is more of a uh, realistic question because we it just tells us like what show would you relate to more, because which one is based more on realism than fiction. So King Shark, you can go on first on this.
I think everyone wants a group like the one in Friends, but I feel the one that's more realistic is the one in How I Met Your Mother. I feel a great example of that is Robin in the group. I mean, I feel she was always the other one in the group, if you know what I mean. Like it was not it was not as perfect as the group in Friends. So that for me made it more realistic because I don't think you see any group in real life which is like the one in Friends, to be honest.
All right. I think for me, I would say I would have to go for Friends, just because just because How I Met Your Mother was kind of there were a lot of fiction scenes in it, and I wouldn't believe everything I see in How I Met Your Mother, but I would believe a lot of things which I watch what I watch on Friends, because they have a more grounded realism to them. So I think that's why I would have to give this to Friends. Deathstroke, your answer on this one?
Well, to be honest, I don't think either of them have a lot of realistic factors, but overall, Friends does have a kind of more realistic theme. Considering in How I Met Your Mother, there are a lot of scenes, especially with Barney. He does a lot of different things and he lies. So I feel like both are real, both feel realistic at some points, but they're not totally give the realistic feelings. So I'll just go with neither of them for this one.
All right, King Shark.
Yeah, I was just gonna say Deathstroke. You're saying how much better How I Met Your Mother is as a show, but you're not picking them as better in any of these categories. Why is
No,
that?
no, I did. I I did in the first one, the storyline and everything. For the side characters, I gave Friends, and plus side characters are not that important when the main cast is important. Great, considering Friends, not that great. They need side characters more, unfortunately. How I Met Your
Not
Mother, on
not
the other
great.
hand, has a great main
Have you
cast.
not heard of Jennifer Aniston or
Just one
or
out. And
Matthew
trust me,
Matthew Perry
she
also?
she acts the same way in every single movie.
Not true.
She's Adam Sandler of female.
Oh, that's not true.
Adam
That's
Sandler.
not true. That's not
What,
true.
Adam Sandler of female? You mean a
No,
female
no,
Sandler?
female version of Adam Sandler. I have misplaced.
Adam Sandler of
Are you,
female.
are you, are you insulting Adam Sandler?
No, no, I didn't
That's
say Adam Sandler is great. He's shown he can act in Uncut Gems and all, but most of the time he goes for the similar movie roles and stuff.
And I love
So
him
he
for that.
just,
Honestly, I love him.
yeah, he's great, but
He's
I
amazing.
mean,
Hey guys, the GOAT here. Continuation of this episode will come out next week. Stay tuned as both shows continue to battle for supremacy. Also, I'm sick.